What are you doing, Benji? My cat just ran through the window. Anyway, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Farinho Talks Milan. Now, I'm not going to do the usual 6 things we learned from series. Instead, I'm just going to give you my post-match thoughts. And it will include a little bit of the run into the United game. I'm going to try and keep it short. I don't want to drag on too long for this. I think it's fair to say that across the two legs against Manchester United, Milan weren't exactly out of it. For three 45-minute halves, they looked well worth the money. They looked like they belonged. They looked like they could play against top European opposition. Of course, with the injuries they had, it makes it even more impressive. Unfortunately for Milan, the devil's in the details. Fikayo Tomori was caught off guard by the Bruno Fernandes pass. And in this game, it was really just a poor lapse of judgment, I would say, from Meite, who otherwise had a very good game. The way Ole approached the second half, bringing on Paul Pogba, really changed the complexion of the game for Manchester United. Having another body in midfield there meant that Milan were going to get overrun. And if you look at the way Milan played against Napoli, it was all lackluster. Everyone looks tired, so obviously fatigue is a massive part of Milan's downturn in form. And I don't understand why Pioli didn't make the substitutions earlier. Of course, Castillejo, while I think he did okay, he's not a striker, right? You can't really, it's not fair to expect anything more from him. I do feel that Zlatan should have been brought in earlier. I think Meite could have been taken off around the hour mark. Give Sandro Tonali some minutes. He's also recovering from injury. Um, he was one of the better players against Napoli, and he should have been given a run out. It's disappointing. Whilst I will always say, top four is objective, blah 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 blah, as I've said before in so many other videos. Of course, losing a game in this manner is really disappointing. Specifically because Milan were in the game. I don't really think Milan were threatened at all over the two legs. In the first leg, Maguire missed a very good opportunity. It was harder to miss than to score. It's not like United had bossed the game at all. I do feel that Milan was still very much in the game. They created some chances. Rade Krunic, I think, missed a very good opportunity to put Milan one up on the stroke of half time. It was a very good ball in the end. I think it was Salamakers who delayed. Hakan Çalhanoğlu dragged the defender out of place and set the ball up for Krunic, who was put under pressure, but you should be hitting the target from there on. Manchester United really hadn't done anything. I think Rashford was still also unfit, which is why he was withdrawn. He also was completely neutralized by the defense. And it's really disheartening for Milan to go out the way they did. Couple that with the poor VAR decision. If you haven't seen it, I'm referring to Kessie's disallowed goal. I think you should go and see it. Go and see for yourself what the deal was about. I did make a video about last week's game, so you can go and check that out. I discussed the handball. I don't want to dwell too much on it. But yeah, the biggest takeaway from me here is that the guys showed character. For 3/4 of this game, they really put together a performance that on paper you'd be scratching your head saying, how were they even in this game? You'd think Manchester United would run away with it. Of course, Milan have so many absentees, and it's been this way for a while now. It's worrying. And side note, the medical team at Milan need to be put under review. It's not normal by any stretch of the imagination to have these many injuries, and I do think some serious restructuring needs to happen before the start of next season. Back to the topic at hand. Going forward, this might be a blessing in disguise for Milan. Juventus, Inter, Lazio, Atalanta, and Napoli were without European football. Roma are the only ones who are still in the competition. It might be their only bet to try and get into Europe this season. into the UEFA Champions League for next season. Sorry, create an intense finish these last stretch of 11 games. There's still a lot of points to be won. I personally can't say what the top four might be looking like at the moment. I think Inter do have the Scudetto in the bag. You know, they've been having a purple patch for quite a while now. Of course, a little fortune in the way of having their games postponed before the international break. But that aside, I just think this is a critical time for this Milan team. I think Pioli recognizes it, and I think the players recognize it as well. There isn't any room for error here. You know, you take it back a month ago where you could say, oh, okay, you lose against Spezia, draw against Udinese, there's still games, there's still games, there's still games. Right now, you're losing sight of the leaders, and the pack who are chasing you are catching up and catching up quickly. Milan, of course, still have to play against Lazio, still have to play against Juventus and Atalanta. Anything can happen. I think the rest of the top four also have a lot of big fixtures coming up. It's just going to be, I think, the most important spell of Stefano Pioli's Milan career so far. And I hope for our sake, for the fans' sake, I hope for the players' sake, that all the injured players return and Milan can try and build off or try and pick up where they left off in 2020 last year. I still believe they have the capabilities to play well. You know, they had a diminished team in both legs against Manchester United. Theo Hernandez was not fit, in my opinion. Um, he didn't play well. Hakan has been off form. I don't know how big a part COVID has played in his recent performances, but the contract negotiations seems like it's weighing on his head. He just doesn't seem all there. And there's been a few nitty gritty things where early on in the season it was absent. Now I do think the players have the mentality to work through that, and they have a run of fair games coming. I think they got Fiorentina, Parma, Sassuolo. Those are tricky games, but they are games Milan should be winning. You know, suddenly you string together 3 wins in a row, you're back on a high, you're back confident. Even if you don't have a full squad, you are still riding that high, and that's what Milan need. They need a series of good results. They haven't had that. You know, it's disappointment against Udinese, and then they play well against Roma. It's disappointment against Napoli, then they play well against Manchester United. You know, you can't have that mixed bag of results if you have serious championship ambitions for one, but also Champions League ambitions. It's a critical stage for Milan. It's extremely nerve-wracking. I think we all just so anxious because this is the first time in what is the better part of a decade, you know, fighting for the title race, but also just getting back to where Milan should be. And in comparison to some of the rivals who are spending money, Milan are building their project the right way. So I do think the fans, you know, we need to be patient, we need to be realistic, and we need to support the guys. You can recognize where criticism ends and where the really nasty agendas start. And we need to put that aside. This is an important stretch, I think, for the fans as well. We are so accustomed to mediocre results. We are so accustomed to seeing this team struggle, seeing this team excel, and then just it's one step forward, 2 steps back. And I think this Milan team are going to turn the corner. I think this is the wake up call they needed. You know, now there are absolutely no excuses, no distractions. I hope Calabria's surgery and his rehabilitation goes well. Yeah, he'll most likely be out for the next month. So he's going to be a big miss. But it's crunch time. This is make or break. Myself and 6 or 7 other guys have been involved. We're looking to start a formal Milan club South Africa. So more details on that soon, but I'm looking forward to it. If you enjoy this content, if you enjoy my channel, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support as always. And lastly, Forza Milan.